Same shirt, same day. Just wanted to talk about, I understand that was the message of our buddy, Jesus Christ, who was known to be a healer, different vibrational frequency. A freak, when you see it from afar, things probably turned green while she passed by. Just kidding, we don't know. Don't know. Yes, we do. It's not a mystery. Certain vibrational frequencies that are healing and then other stuff that's not so cool. So when you start getting trapped in the mind, like say, which it's the same as saying being trapped in fear or suffering. Yeah, unnecessary suffering. I mean, there's plenty of suffering that's life, but it doesn't have to be suffering, especially if you remove the mind and just notice, well, this particular thing that isn't social media, say, maybe it's a chore I need to do, which I already kind of did it. I made tortillas, and anyway, thank God for food stamps, I have food. Just make yourself some food. It's part that some of the things we have to do and keep up so that unnecessary suffering doesn't begin happening. I mean, it's a necessary, anyway. It doesn't have to be suffering. That's all. Life doesn't really have to be that way. The mind is, point being, boy, that the message, I mean, it's dire. It's never going to die. It's the only cure. And that's why you would point at the Christ. Never take it on, by the way. Say, no, it happened 2,000 years ago. And by the way, she's dead. Okay, God. Wrap it up. I'll take it. Just kidding. No, one of the main things was to not be so prejudiced, right? Well, it's not about this or that. It's about like, well, don't be so mind. Talk about what's prejudice the mind is. If the mind is left to its own device and the way it is, it would be happy to take over and say, I am all there is. And when reality shows up in the truth, especially about itself, then it gets prejudiced. It's like, excuse me. And that's exactly what's going on, folks. I mean, we don't have to get into the details of what might be going on. That's exactly what's going on out there. Story never dies, babe. Mind is prejudice when it's not put in its place, which is non-existential to awareness. I mean, really, awareness can see, well, that was a cool story, but can we get back to reality? Like, what time of day is it? Is there something we need to do to ease the possibility of unnecessary suffering happening? Like, did we ever put food on the table? Woo! Struggling with that. Are we or are we not? I mean, who does that? I've been alone a lot, but I remember seeing the phenomenon, and particularly between men and women. Like, okay, so men, they don't know how to do their laundry or cook, much to the advantage, if you would say. Really, it's not the advantage, because, gosh, well, to the women, because they know how to do laundry and cook. No? That's not how it goes? Let me think. Yeah, well, that's what I've seen going on. No, I'm just kidding. I know that there's teamwork, babe, but is it really teamwork? I detect something other strange going on. I'm like, how's the organism doing? Are we having fun yet? Really, babe? Is money? Are we allowing money to tear apart that life that, say, Jesus Christ wanted us to have? What do you mean? What is it? Well, it's pretty simple, and maybe a lot of the stuff that has been going on, which I'm not saying it's not great, but can we give that its own arena? Which it does. It kind of does. You know, it has pillars going up, and you have to knock them out every once in a while and say to say that it's even there. Look at the World Trade Center. Um, just a way to tell. I don't know, that was the strangest thing now because of the way that well, you could be ready for something like that as far as the communications ability as to what happened, like why it happened and what happened there. There could be interception right at the crisis, which would be what I'm talking about is the World Trade Center and how, yeah, a lot of information was covered up, and we don't really know unless you were there. We just don't know unless you were there. Really, I mean, just drop it, and thank God there's enough space that we don't see that pollution here or anything. You know, it kind of went easterly, and now it's over in Europe, and because I'm on the West Coast, and the way the wind blows, you know, hello, how are you today? But something else, something here has their agenda, and anyway, God, what was I trying to say? Nothing much, really, huh? Um, well, you know, let's talk more about the astrology. I told you guys about the phenomenon of the Venetian mystical awakening that could possibly happen for all of humanity, thanks to Gemini being in a Mercury ruled sign, and then that happening with Mercury Uranus conjunction, and then Venus being trine Neptune coming up Saturday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. It's really, man, I hope you're able to, you know, not get too involved. If you notice, it's like, well, take your pick. It's your choice. You know, gosh, do I really want to get sucked into the painful people out there who haven't gotten over their unnecessary suffering in their minds? Really, is what it is. Um, what I really let's see now what's going to happen after what Pluto is going to do. I mean, yeah, Pluto. Well, what Venus is going to do just shortly after. I mean, this is about exact, but no, it's coming up at 29 degrees, going right into Leo. It's going to square Pluto. And when Venus squares Pluto, it's really well, any aspect with Pluto and Venus. I mean, the square is not so intense as, say, the opposition or the conjunction. I'm an astrologer, and I'll say that you have to know that there's two possibilities to square, but it's a blindsiding. It's really difficult, and it's an issue of love. It's an issue of our lovability. If you have anywhere say that fixed degree 0 degrees, we're talking about 29 2 cardinal going back, whatever squares Cancer, the Capricorn lights up too, you know, and so because Venus in Cancer is in opposition. Wow, thanks for the correction. It's actually in opposition because it is Cancer and Leo. Thank you. No, this is a once in a lifetime, like, ooh, yeah, like a conjunction. But see, I akin the conjunction the same as an opposition because it doesn't happen but once every time, once a travel or go around the zodiac, say with Pluto and Venus, that's a heavy duty aspect coming up the opposition now, but it can go either way with people. Now, talking about what would it be? You know, we're looking at Leo. The sun still, it's a sun ruled Venus going into Leo as well as Mars. What is the sun ruling right now under rulership of? Mercury. So it's still a very Venetian mission, which is love. It's a, you know, Venus has negative qualities too, but and it's way more lethal than Mars. I mean, we don't talk about it. It's the dark feminine side, which none of us wants to know any of the dark side. You know what I mean? So with Thanks for letting me talk astrology, by the way. It's far better than whatever confusion I was presenting us in the beginning, right? Don't say that to the narcissist to be like, yes, and by the way, the confusion of which is yours, that, and just like, no, no, no. There's an off button. Just unfollow. Thank you. Uh-huh. Let's get back to, yeah, this Venus creeping along right when after it's square, after it has a beautiful aspect with Neptune and awakens all of mankind, it's going to cruise to kind of knocking on the door of speaking to the Aquarius age, the Capricorn wrap up. What we're doing here with the Pluto going backwards, and it's going to oppose Pluto. Kind of now we were looking at opposition. It's kind of like this frickin' um, uh, carousel or something that on one side is Leo and on the other side is Aquarius. You see, Aquarius is the one who is there as the Aquarius age, which is like conducting a huge freaking circus, man. It's like the anything goes scene. Um, but because Pluto is there, that's what's kind of ushering it in, saying, excuse me, we're going to weed out a lot of this anything goes scene. Because Pluto has to do with the truth. Like, okay, so talk about anything goes. Can you make your foundation on that? Can you really ride on that? Can you really ride a wave on it, huh? No? You're not even staying buoyant in this flood? No? Why? Because it's nowhere along the lines of truth. And that's what Pluto is going to do in wherever it goes. It just has to be going into Aquarius, which is all of humanity, and it's going to give it a little brush up there, purge out basically bullshit. So, opposing that Venus opposing, it's not going to be easy for love, the ideals there. If it is a show, just put up in lights, it's a lot of the curtains are going to be pulled and the inner workings of it are going to be looked at, and that's not comfortable. Why would we want to do that? I don't know. It's going to pass, babes. This too shall pass, this season of Venus going into Leo. It's necessary to look at the wiring and everything, because don't we want to have a good time? It's kind of like, okay, if it's not right and you're in a toxic relationship, now we got to pull this out and sparks. Don't you know what change needs to be done? Close that up. Goodbye. Really. We're in the middle of a lot of break apart right there with relationships concerning the steady. The steady Uranus, which I laugh because Uranus isn't steady. That's the thing that's breaking everything apart and making you see. But it's in Taurus, which is the sign of love and steadiness and relationships, like your love and values. It's just it's a little bit of a vibration. There's a little bit going there, and it's always as long as it's in Taurus, which I figured out the afterburner is not. We're just going numb about it right now. But when Uranus goes into Gemini, there's going to be communications. Now it's speaking to this very time, where here I am. Blah blah blah. You notice when it was when Mercury was in Taurus going retrograde, it's not a good place for Mercury anyway in Taurus. It's more like, because it's like, shut up. We don't need all that noise that Mercury is all about. It's like, who cares what the temperature is? You know what I mean? Just, we're feeling the temperature, aren't we? And just get into the temperature. Do we have to really know the degree? Be quiet. Does it matter? No, we're just feeling it. It's hard to move on in that manner. And don't be so mental, hold on to what is useful. Gemini has a big problem with that, just weeding through, and thank God we have Cancer coming up with a feeling. That's just the evolution of human consciousness. We're coming on here. And um, the Uranus going into Gemini, which is a Mercury-ruled sign, is going to speak to this very time now. And I'm one of these people who are trying to dare to talk about, well, let's wrap this up. We have male and female, the two different types on the planet, by the way, that we're looking at. And did you notice that we have a metaphor going on where there's narcissists and who else? The human being. Not me. This is what the professionals are saying. Who else? Well, we can get really vague and say these people that can come up with anything and everything but just simply being human and being love, and that's huge because that's lovable. Only love is lovable, maybe. Yes. No, we're talking about being human, and that's very complex. It's not like being a chicken. Getting back to, yes, this is it. Ride the wave. Communicate. If anything, hook your own communications into yourself, and don't, because, uh, that's how we're going to get a roll on, if you're going to duck out of the, the, um, the living, say, because love is how we're going to stay buoyant and also stay alive. You know, that's a thing of the heart where I would like to tell the mind, right, or a narcissist, too much work for you. You can't do it. A 9 to 5, working 12 hours a day, 7 days a week, actually, is easier for you than to think about the work that needs to be done in order to just be a presence as a human being and conduct and to conduct a decent human relationship. I was going to say occupation. Just trying to help here on the space being. By the way, catch me on the next page. We have this Venus Pluto coming up opposition, and people like me who is Plutonian, even though it squares I'm still having this square to my Mercury. I'm going to try and be as articulate as I can through whatever speech impediment that really it's not my physical problem. There's Pluto. It's like I'm going to see some truths. And it's like that's not comfortable. Well, who cares? Okay. Well, let me just get mind boned right there. I would much rather be playing music, and I will. I'm going to refine everything. See, my generation, who is of I call us a Librian generation because we're going by Pluto. And now with Pluto doing a tap dance on the cusp of Aquarius and Capricorn, that's huge. Speaking to Libra, saying, "Are you ready? Are you ready?" My generation, it's time for us to step up. If you've noticed, the information field, that is the human organism, the task of keeping up, even our intellectual property, to just say, put it generally, like to be able to do anything at all. Like, how do we boil a fucking egg to make it to where it's soft boiled or hard boiled? This. I don't know. Just let it go for 20 minutes and then it'll be done. It's like, well, yeah, but there's a certain time where it's safe, and then where the soft boiled egg. Well, how long do you think? See, I live in the mountains, and you have to take into consideration that the oxygen is less up here, so it takes more time for water to boil. But you don't go by the So if you want to go by, I go by the time the water boils. I have to. I'm an Aquarius moon, so I have to add it up. It's 11 minutes, okay? Because it takes 3.5 minutes for you to make a soft boiled egg. That is from when the moment you see the rapid boil. There. This is 18 minutes of uselessness. That moment right there, priceless. When I get PayPal, I'm going to put up $3 for the hard boiling egg. Soft boiling egg advice. You're welcome. Thank you. Back to the useless information about the details of navigating through the maze of the mental scape that is provided by confused human beings across the board. I even lost what I was about to say. Have a good day.